We are prepared to make sure that the judgment is paid to New Yorkers. And yes, I look at 40 Wall Street each and every day. If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court. And we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Now, you take, an issue with this, of course, more broadly in terms of what it means to be in an American business structure, Kevin. But in terms of the valuation, can you be clear as to why? I mean, why would the properties not be sufficient collateral?
What a great message to send out all around the world. Take a claim where there was no monies lost. There was no fraud here in the context of actually people losing money. Deutsche Bank, who made the loan, was made whole. And let's make a penalty of $500 million against a crime, apparently, where no monies were lost. Great message for New York. Great message for America. Bring your capital because we'll protect your property. I think that was a statement that would be much better made sometime in Venezuela. I'm not kidding. That's a scary, scary message. And by the way, there are no such thing as $500 million bonds.
The marketplace.
There are no $500 million bonds. Never been done before. Never. This law has never been applied. Forget about Trump. Nothing to do with Trump. Everything to do about America and the New York brand. I love this state. My children live here. A horrible message to everybody around the world watching this. Absolutely horrific.
What's going on, everyone? Sauce Skinny here today. As you just saw, Kevin O'Leary was going in about the negative implications that New York in the long run will hurt itself, right? And this whole idea is the New York state attorneys and what they're doing to Trump legally. It's sending a message, and this is what Kevin O'Leary is getting at. I think this is what a lot of people who believe that this is nonpartisan, this is a political attack. The only people who don't see Trump's indictments, his civil case prosecution against him as not political are Democrats. Only Democrats think this. Majority of independents don't think this, and majority of Republicans especially don't think that this is actually a correct civil case. How can you try a man for fraud when no one was defrauded? And somehow Letitia James, in the beginning you saw, she made it about how New Yorkers got defrauded. New Yorkers didn't get defrauded at all. No one got defrauded. He was able to pay them back. So how are you holding him accountable for this? How are you going to libel? This is libel. This is a smear, in my view, on Trump. How can you call him a fraud? How can you talk about how he doesn't participate in good business practices when the people who are speaking about this are not a businessman? Kevin O'Leary has more qualifications to speak about the implications of this prosecution than these two pundits on CNN. I believe the lady here, I forgot her name, but apparently she's an economics and political commentator. But based on this interaction between her and what she focuses on, because they don't focus on the results of this case. They don't focus on the message that this sends to everyone who's pro-business. The message here, and this is how I'm taking it, is that if you dare go against the New York establishment, the New York Democratic dominated party, we can find you prosecutable for this. Because you can hear the commentary. Kevin O'Leary's focused on the business aspect of this. Like, hey, you're pretty much Venezuela. You're pretty much a socialist country, a state right now. And if we go against the party regime, they'll come at us. They'll come at us from our bank accounts. They'll come for our assets. They'll make you bankrupt. They'll make you homeless. Before I get into this video, I want to show you a clip of the nightmare scenario. And it's a nightmare scenario for people who want honest, objective justice. But this is a best case scenario if you're a Democrat partisan, because you guys, this is what they want Trump to be. It's so vitriolic, right? They just want to prosecute the man. Trump is guilty until proven innocent. This is the Democratic framework. Because all that matters to them is that, oh no, Trump is bad. Trump is our political opposition. We'll rationalize anything to go against him. This is why they set the bond to an unprecedented $500 million, which has never been before which never happened before in the legal system for a civil fraud case where no one was defrauded, because the New York people, the New York judge, thought that Trump's property is worth less than what Trump got the banks to send a loan for. Imagine that. And then they're trying to paint him as some fraudulent person, unable to pay back loans. You'll see the implications of this later in this video, but I want to show you the nightmare scenario that's outlined if Trump's not able to pay this bond. Let's take a look.
Okay, here we are. We'll ask the judge to seize his assets. I look at 40 Wall Street every day. The day that this all comes due is Monday. 40 Wall Street is one of his most valuable properties in New York, at $270 million estimated, and you can go down all of the others that he owns part of, and you can see all the prices there: 160 million, 175, 500, in part in some of these. So what happens now? I mean, do you just suddenly say, okay, couldn't get the bond, couldn't get the backing, the court doesn't go my way, so suddenly I'm selling a $500 million building in 5 days?
Right. Well, this is what the conundrum that he is in. If he does not post this by Monday, he can still appeal, of course. It's just that this verdict will be enforced immediately on Monday, as you just showed there with Tish James saying she's prepared to go to court and do this.
Literally seize the building
Exactly. Start a new case to go after it. And she could do that in multiple states, too. It doesn't just have to be in New York where he has properties. But the writing is on the wall that if he hasn't started preparing to sell some assets by now, that it could be pretty difficult to get this process done by Monday. And clearly, Letitia James is ready to go to court. She's been preparing for this.
All right, so Ryan, quickly, get Stephanie in here. What happens then if he loses in court, he can't sell a building by next Monday, which he can't, then what?
Then Letitia James seizes his property, puts liens on all of his assets, bank accounts, and then as Eric said, that is not restricted to New York. So she probably at this point understands where he has different assets in Florida, Mar-a-Lago, and elsewhere.
And what does that mean? He can't go in them, or people can't go? What does that mean?
It does mean that he would not be able to. It would be fought out in some part in the courts, but for that period of time, it really becomes unusable. And how does he get any additional business going when these are under foreclosure or being seized by the court?
As you can see, that's the negative implications that's going to happen to Trump. That she can, Letitia, imagine that you're a Republican, former Republican president, and you're getting tried in a politically, ideologically dominated city like New York, very partisan. That's why I say I don't think presidents can get a fair trial in jurisdictions, especially if it's a jurisdiction that is their political opposition. And based on a ruling, based on a summary judgment by a New York judge where Letitia James took time, painstaking time to go through it, find that needle in a haystack. Oh, I'm going to get this judge who you can make an argument should have recused himself, but didn't. Smiling for cameras. Based on his judgment, Letitia James can go to Mar-a-Lago in another jurisdiction in Florida to restrict Trump's access to his own properties from him producing any money to go towards the bond, and he'll immediately get charged for a crime that to me should be appealable. Craziness, unprecedented. Imagine that. And then they wonder why Trump is so popular in the polls. If Biden and the Democrats were so confident in beating him, why stoop to this level? If you wanted to hold him accountable for these fraudulent charges, why wait until 2024 when he's going to run for president? Why not do all this up in the upfront? Because they want to generate news. They want to put up a narrative. They want this smug CNN host to throw down with Kevin O'Leary, focusing on unsubstantive stuff. Like all they care about is the narrative. All they care about is the perception, the optics. Oh, look, he got convicted for fraud. It must mean he's a fraud. This is why Trump is suing the George, forgot his name, Scoparakis guy. Because he kept calling him a rapist, even though he wasn't charged for rape. They charge him for fraud, even though he didn't defraud anybody. Victimless crime. And he's paying this to who? New York government? New York government was the fraud. New York government wasn't even involved in all this, but they stand to benefit from it. Isn't that a conflict of interest there? This is why I say that when I hear black people talk about the justice system, how corrupt it is, I look and I'm like, yo, I think the justice system is the most corrupt in democratic jurisdictions. And seeing what's going on with Trump only validates that perspective from me. But enough talking from me. Let's get into the video.
Well,
This
wait,
case
Kevin,
goes
Kevin,
way
but
past
hold on a
Trump.
second, Kevin.
Trump
What
will
would
be
be
gone one day. This
hold on a
attorney
second.
general will be gone one day, and this
I
is
have
what
a
you want to
wonderful
tell
voice,
people
and
around
it
the
won't
world.
be talked
This
over.
is how we
Kevin
treat money
O'Leary,
in America.
I would like to hear what you have to say, but
America.
And this is from Media, and they're talking about how this is good. This don't make this lady look good here. I don't even know who the host is. Honestly, I'm here for Kevin O'Leary. I don't care who you are. I don't care who this lady is. I don't care about your show. I care about what Kevin O'Leary has to say. Because unlike you, he actually employs people. He actually helped people pay taxes. You're just a talking head on some show. I don't understand this need. Why are you talking over him? Let him speak. But I guess he wants to get the hack in, which is, so it's 2 against 1. 2 of these people are CNN commentators and against Kevin O'Leary, defending what New York is doing. This is why a lot of people don't trust mainstream media anymore, because of stuff like this.
what are you doing?
Not America.
But it's not America, but it is the Laura Coates live show, and I am speaking. So that will be the rule, not Venezuela,
America.
nowhere else. Fine, but it's Laura Coates live. And hello,
She
my
don't care.
name is Laura Coates. The question I want to ask you on this point, though, is what does the reverse say, Kevin, if they do not take action? And I hear your point about you believe there's no fraud and that everyone was made whole, but a judge found otherwise. And so
Appealing to authority.
given that, Catherine, to Kevin's point, can you address what your opinion is on the issue? Because your big major concern seems to be what happens if this is not followed through by James or the courts. What message would that sound? You seem to think that's anti-American.
Yeah, look, I'm surprised that Kevin is wasting his good name defending fraud and lies, which I am convinced, Kevin, you have not committed.
Frauds and lies. What like this is the kind of thing I'm talking about with Catherine here. CNN economics and political commentary. That's what her role is. But how can I take you seriously when you're not really addressing anything that Kevin O'Leary is going to say? You're going to attack the message. I mean, the messenger, not the message. The idea is, hey, this is not going to make an attractive business environment for businesses to come to New York. Because New York, with all your high taxes on the rich, you rely on the same class that you're prosecuting right now. Trump is one of that class, regardless if you agree with him politically or not. And if he decides to leave New York, right, he can't because he's in real estate. But this will incentivize more mobile millionaires and billionaires. God forbid the rich leave. And it'll tank your whole system. You're cutting your nose to spite your face because you just want to get Trump. That's all y'all focus on. This is politicized. No logic, no rationale behind it. How you can charge someone with fraud when no one was defrauded? Hey, I'm supposed to pay you back $5,000 a month, as an example. I was able to pay you $5,000 a month because you thought you gave me a loan because you thought my house was worth $300K. Then a judge in some court tells you, no, Kenny, actually your house is only worth $100,000 because you only pay taxes based on $100,000 of your house value. But I was able to pay the person back. No. You're being fraudulent here. How? I was able to pay the dude back. No, it doesn't matter. Making up reasons to attack the guy. Then you set my bond $500,000 and expect me to liquidate all my assets just to pay you. But I already lost control of my assets. So then when I win the appeal, are you going to give me back my assets? No. The point is pretty much drain his pockets, take his assets, take control of this all these valuable assets. And you see how happy Letitia James about it. I walk to 40th all day. I look at that building and say, one day it's going to be in my possession, and then I can reward the businessmen that align with the Democratic Party in New York with this building and make them rich. They can get it for sale. Like when the government forecloses your house and then the banks are forced to sell it at a lower price to recoup some of the costs. The same thing is going to happen to Trump's assets. How is this not a politicized game? I don't know. How is this not any different from when Eric Holder was the attorney general and he was using fines against businesses that the Democrats went after to fund political groups associated with the Democratic Party? How is this not any different? But they want to virtue signal and be condescending and act like they're on the right side of this. I'll never go to New York.
I don't understand. Why are you defending the actions of someone who has committed these actions? That, again, there is ample evidence
Point
that
to
he
one.
has done this. And the idea that just because, you know, the banks themselves may have been in on the fraud doesn't necessarily make it any better. I mean,
In on the fraud. Wow. Instead of addressing his points, they want to cast a narrative. And this is a big problem with many people on the political left. Pure BS. Trump campaign erupts as CNN reports he's in panic mode and trying to offload assets to post bond. The former president was ordered, and we already know the story, right? Trump's team has sought out wealthy supporters and weighed that asset could be sold and fast, and presumptive GOP presidential nomination himself can become increasingly concerned about the optics that the March 25 deadline could present, especially the prospect that someone whose identity has long been tied to his wealth would confront financial crisis. This is the end game they're going for. This is why they set the bond so high. This is why they did all this, because they want Trump to fail. They want Trump to take an L, essentially. They want to be able to put that, oh my God, Trump is so fraudulent that he's a billionaire, but he can't pay back $500 million of $500 million. Ha ha ha. That's the narrative they're going to play. Trump knows the game. Trump knows this is what they're going for. Craziness. Right? And this clip is going to be to Kevin O'Leary's point, because now the reason why it's so hard for Trump to get someone to give him a loan is for the fact that wealthy people in New York don't want to be associated with Trump, because they feel like if they help Trump out, they'll be the New York State attorney's, they'll be Letitia James' next target. And this is a problem. This is socialism. Ostracization, isolation. I'm looking for help. Oh no, if I associate with you, it can hurt my social credit score. This is the game New York is playing. This is the concerns that many people have about this legal prosecution against Trump, because we don't care about Trump necessarily. Trump is just bringing attention to New York's legal corruption. But I digress. Let's take a look at this clip, and then I'll wrap up with my final thoughts.
Things from the Trump land. They're continuing to talk to banks and insurance companies to try to get that bond, to get it at a reasonable amount of money that he can put up. As of yet, none of his billionaire friends are ponying up money, from what I understand. I've been asking them. I mean, there are a lot of them. I mean, Bernie Marcus today, the former Home Depot founder, wrote an op-ed that's saying the country needs to rally around Trump. As of now, I don't think Bernie's worth $6 billion. I don't think he's given any money.
What is behind their reluctance?
Well, it's as of now. So
Right.
Let's see.
That.
I mean,
are they afraid that they
change.
might not see it anytime soon? The money, if he even succeeds on appeal, what's
Yeah,
the
I mean
problem?
that's one thing. I mean, I think I don't want to speak for Bernie Marcus, that's for sure. But just generally, Donald doesn't have a great record at paying back banks over the years, and Donald Trump. So you can sort of surmise from that what you will. But if you think about it, he has friends, or did, like Steve Schwartzman over at BlackRock. He has Tom Barrack, the hedge fund billionaire. I mentioned Bernie. Howie Lorber. I mean, go down the list. You got to ask yourself why they're not throwing him some bucks now, lending him some money. And maybe they will. But
or maybe they're afraid of retribution from Letitia James's office. I mean, and the better part of valor is to stand back.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although, listen, she runs the New York AG's office, which has tremendous power because she has something known as the Martin Act, which can really go after a lot of businesses. And the bar for intent is very low. So that's one thing. But some of these folks don't have really a lot of business in New York. I mean, Howie Lorber does, but I'm not sure what the other ones.
So you've seen enough of that, right? So the bar's very low for her to come after businesses, and if the bar's very low, wouldn't this is just me, critically thinking individual think, wouldn't it mean that for frivolous reasons she can go after people who just maybe think differently than her? Like I did a story where Letitia James got booed by someone from the fire department, and now they're looking for the guy. Like imagine that. Like imagine a vindictive person being in that position of power, which I think Letitia James is. I think she ran on the fact that I'm gonna get Trump. I'll brag. Same thing. Same situation. I think that's what I'm saying. I think legally, Democratic-dominated areas are more corrupt than Republican-dominated areas. Because it seemed like for Democrats, it's just, hey, do something I don't like. Do something that goes against our ends. Do something that goes against our political interest, and we'll bankrupt you. That's the message that New York is sending to everyone, not just Trump. They're just saying, you see, if Trump went against the system, Trump countered against the system, Trump railed against the system. If you do that, we'll do the same thing to you. And you ain't as rich as this guy. You ain't as popular as this guy. You ain't as famous as this guy. If we do it to you, it'll be done in a heartbeat. And then they want to get mad when black voters are slowly identifying with Trump in that way, because he is facing discrimination based on his political ideology. That's the discrimination we're seeing here. Don't worry, business people in New York, you have nothing to worry about because you're not like Trump. What that implies, Trump's a Republican. Trump loves America, right? So if you are a Republican, if you do love America and you do the same thing Trump does, we'll prosecute you. But if you're a Democrat, you hate America, you love globalism, you love the Democratic Party, you do the same thing as Trump does, you're fine. Because the judgment seems arbitrary. You convicted of someone of fraud when no one lost anything. No one was defrauded. Everyone got the money that they agreed to get. But now, since the banks got their money, and then the funny part is, if the whole banks was in on the fraud, why aren't you prosecuting the banks as well? Why only Trump is held liable for that? That's another thing. The Kathleen from the CNN video that I just reacted to with Kevin O'Leary, she has to back up. These people are not critically thinking people, right? This is why I said the left do not like critical thinking people. They don't like people asking questions, because when you start asking questions, they want to start calling you names, smearing you, like the lady tried to do with Kevin O'Leary. Why would you put your good name behind Donald Trump, defending Donald Trump's business practices? Because it's the same business practices that most people in real estate do. Craziness. But I digress. I'm done railing against this point. But you see the game here. So Monday, we'll see what happens, right? Hopefully it ain't too bad, but that's the game that the mainstream media, New York Democrats, that's the angle they want. They want to be able to put plastered all over the New York Times. Trump found convicted of this. Trump unable to pay half a billion dollar bond, even though he's worth this billion. Could this be fraudulent as well? Like, they're going to start talking about things from these different angles. And Trump knows that. Trump knows they're trying to pretty much character assassination, but also hurt his status as a billionaire using this court case. Unprecedented. This is why no one sees, non-Democrats see this as uncredible. Okay, before civil fraud cases, bond was set like 10 million, 18 million, but you put it at 400,000. Bro, you asking for people, you blatant, the New York Democrat Party, because they have ideological domination, they know they can get away with it in their jurisdiction. But from a national perspective, people are like, yo, let's avoid New York. But hey, they will reap what they sow, because by their fruits you shall know them. Hey, actions speak louder than words. You can pretend, you can say out of your mouth, Democrats and Democratic apologists, all you want, that this is not political. But it is a politicized attack. You're doing unprecedented things because it's Trump. The bar is low. But hey, I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree? Agree with me? Don't agree with me? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate you guys for watching to the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.